Was Nittler wrong for
Yes.
doing what he did?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if Nittler said that it was good to do what he did? Was he wrong then?
I still think he's wrong, despite what he says.
But what if he says he's right?
I
Can you
don't
say
really
he's
care what
wrong?
he has to say about whether it's right or wrong.
But then it
Wait,
becomes subjective, right? It's whatever you think it is, whatever he thinks it. There is really no wrong. It's just different.
What do you mean there's really no wrong?
It can't be wrong or right because where do you get the objective truth to say that is wrong? You could say it's different, I think.
It doesn't have to be objective. I mean, we wouldn't say food doesn't taste good or bad because it's not objectively good or bad.
Well,
yeah,
let's
I would
say-
just
Not
say,
required
Lance,
yeah,
I
well,
would just,
if I agree, I'm sorry, JP, I agree when we talk about food and taste. If I like chocolate and you like vanilla, right? I agree. That is a subjective to what we like. But we're saying that something's wrong. We're saying that it's wrong not only here, but it's wrong in Germany. Like a universal truth behind it.
Yeah, but like I like vanilla ice cream. It still tastes good in Germany.
Yes, but the person who doesn't like it doesn't mean it has to be universally true. Not that you per se, that mean like JP lives in Germany, doesn't know me, and I live in the United States, and I go to Germany, and I'm like, hey, beating up babies is wrong. He's like, absolutely, I agree. And most people will agree that hurting child or raping someone, doing something like that, it's wrong universally. That's the truth. Me saying I like chocolate and JP in Germany says I like vanilla, that's just a subjective truth behind it. So when we're saying something's wrong,
this is a difference in the normative scope of the claims, though. It has nothing to do with meta ethics or objectivity or subjectivity.
But
You,
Lance,
in principle, could have a preference
what?
about what other people eat if you wanted to. It'd be a weird preference, but you could.
Lance, was Nittler wrong for killing Jews?
Of course,
you would say
yes.
he is, but if Nittler said he was right, how could you say he was wrong if he said he was right?
I'm saying it. That nothing about Hitler saying that what he did is right or wrong has anything to do with me saying he's right or wrong.
Yeah, but then by what standard are we going by here? Because if you're going by your own standard, then good is not really good.
But what do you mean it's not really good? Again,
because
vanilla
Hitler
ice cream
said
is
that killing-
really good.
Hitler
Like
said
when you
that
use the
genocide
term,
was good.
sorry,
Hitler said that his actions were
so
good.
what? So why is that relevant?
so
Because you can't say that he's wrong. You can say it.
I can. Look, he's wrong. See, I can.
Okay, but
I'm
in
not
his
making any
mind,
mistakes here.
yeah, but by what standard? He could say that he was correct for what he did. Who
Okay,
has the
so
correct objective?
If you're
knowledge?
asking about my personal meta-ethical framework, I would be going by my standard.
yes. So
He's
I
wrong.
agree with
My standard.
Lance. I agree with Lance.
I'm not making any mistakes when I say that.
Lance could say he's wrong subjectively, right? But in a relationship, if two people are together, and I don't know if you guys are married or not, and one person does one thing that we disagree, and the other person does the other thing that disagrees, how do we tell that person you're wrong in doing that? Just because you think it's wrong.
I think we're all married, but JP.
Yes.
Brother, what's wrong with you, man?
Like if my wife decides to be with, multiple people or vice versa, and how do I impose that on her because of my own standard?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, if you want to impose your standards on people and you have the ability to do so, you can. I mean, whether or not there doesn't need to be.
But what makes that right or wrong then?
Again, your own standards make it right. I mean, that's just what your standards.
If she doesn't follow that, is that a problem?
I mean, it's probably a practical problem. If you want to impose standards on people that don't want them imposed on them, they're probably not going to be very happy about it.
Like unless I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that we as human beings like to have this universal truth that killing and raping and everything else is wrong, and we like to oppose that on other people so they don't do it.
Yeah, but I agree with that. I'm fine with I don't think anybody should be stealing or killing or murdering anywhere. I do endorse universal normative moral truths.
So
yeah, again, I don't care if they think. Why was that relevant? I don't know why you keep bringing that up. People think their own. Like if someone comes.
Oh, I think we lost them.
Sorry, sometimes I freeze up. If someone comes up to me and they want my wallet, the answer is no, I don't want to give them my wallet. But if they say, but I want your wallet and I think it's okay to take your wallet, that's completely irrelevant to me. Why would I care whether they want my wallet or not? That doesn't somehow make it like I have to. It's not like in virtue of me having subjective moral standards, I feel some obligation to honor other people's subjective moral standards. That's not an entailment of having subjective moral standards. It's completely consistent with having subjective moral standards to say, I want everyone to comply with my standards.
Let me respond to you. Let me say this, Manny, and I'll let you go. Praise, how many more minutes do you have, Praise? And we'll let Manny.
We got less than 10 minutes, 8 minutes.
Okay, so let me respond and say this. I say that it's important to know where we get our morality from, because ultimately you said that Hitler was wrong for killing those Jews. Where do you get that from? We know objectively that it's wrong to murder children. We know objectively that it's wrong to do all of these things. Yet people defy their I know for a fact when Hitler grew up, right, he knew it was wrong to kill babies. But because he used his free will to make bad choices, because he used his free will to ultimately do evil, he put away his conscience. He put away the 10 commandments that were written in his heart to ultimately do evil. And God will judge everybody because every single person has a sense of morality and they got it from God. This is why.
But I don't think that's. I don't think.
Well, let me
that's
finish
a
with
matter
this,
of
Lance, and I'm
empirical
gonna let
fact.
you cook.
Okay.
That's why I say that everybody knows that taking a weapon and repeatedly doing this to a baby with that weapon is wrong because God put it in our hearts. And this is why we have the problems and the evils we have today, because many people violate the very conscience that God has given them. And we get that conscience from God. And if we don't get it from God, then anybody can say that doing this to a baby is good, and you can't say they're wrong, even though you feel that's egregious and bad. But in reality, you can't really say it's wrong, because if they say it's good, and then there's really no objective morality.
That just doesn't follow. If someone else says something is good, it can be good relative to their standards. It does not follow that it has to be good relative to my standards. In other words, if someone else likes eating food, they enjoy a particular food flavor, like a flavor of food that I don't like, I don't have to think the food tastes good. I only have to think they think the food tastes good to them, which is
we're a little
trivially
deeper than
true.
food, Lance.
What?
We're a little deeper than food. I mean, we're talking Hitler here.
I'm comparing them in terms of their meta-normative characteristics, not in terms of their severity or importance to society. That is the point of the comparison. When you compare two things along one dimension, it does not mean you're comparing them along any other dimension. My point here is that when it comes to taste preferences, if someone else finds a particular flavor of food good, that does not mean I must find that flavor of food good. It only means I must acknowledge, as a matter of psychological fact, that they find the food.
So you liken
so I want to finish the point that I'm trying to make here, which is that if someone else believes their own actions are morally right, and I think their actions are morally wrong, what I would say about the scenario is they think their actions are right, and I think their actions are wrong. And I can tell them that their actions are wrong, and that can be true relative to my standards. There's no contradiction, there's no inconsistency, and there's no problem with that. We do not need moral realism to judge other people's actions, to impose our standards on other people. And what I would say is, you made several claims about like God, like imbuing in people's hearts like a sense of right and wrong. I don't know the exact physiological mechanism if this is supposed to be underwritten by some sort of empirical claims about human psychology. But as far as whether or not and to what extent people purportedly know that certain sorts of things are wrong, you're making a substantive empirical claim about human psychology. And I don't think that the empirical evidence sustains that sort of claim. All throughout human history, infanticide was a fairly common practice. People routinely slaughtered people from other societies. And we don't have the resources or tools. We don't have a time machine. We can't go back and survey these people. But I think it's quite plausible that if people routinely made a practice of slaughtering members of other communities, that they did not find their actions to be wrong. And even today, you could find people that do not think harming other people is wrong. And so if the claim is like they actually think that it's wrong, so now we're making some sort of like claim about like the crypto beliefs people purportedly have without any empirical evidence. So if you think everybody everywhere knows what's right or wrong, I mean, where's the empirical evidence for that? I don't think there is any. In fact, I think most of the empirical evidence would suggest that that's not the case.
Yeah,